Hi, my name is Gene Jordan. I'll be giving you a brief overview of the Grade 5 Module 1. I hope to give you some plans to prepare to implement the module and differentiate it as necessary. Here's some things I would love to do, but I won't have time in this video to do, which is if you want more background, study the progressions. Examine the module overview and assessments before you teach the lesson. You might want to explore selected lessons within the module. And finally, there's no better way to become better at teaching the module than teaching the module. As you see, Grade 5, this will be the first module that I work with, but a lot of the material that I cover today, as far as the structure and components, is true for all of the modules. You're looking at the end date of around October 15th if you started after the first week of school. The modules, as you teach them through all of the lessons, are broken into topics. Many of the topics are ideal places to stop for maybe a quick quiz or formative assessment. The overview of the modules gives you components, everything that's in there. The things that I won't be talking a lot about today will be scaffolds, but those are a very interesting way to differentiate your instruction, as well as distribution of instructional minutes is a nice overview of everything that's going on within the module. But when you're having students who are struggling with a module, it's important to have some specific questions in mind, and here's a couple of questions they present as things to ask specifically with what topic or procedure are the students struggling with. When you're choosing fluencies, you'll need to pick the one that's right for you and your students. When I say that, it means you might want to choose something that the fluency is doable for most students, but no student feels absolutely comfortable with it. It becomes not challenging. We're going to look at the 4 components and give examples from throughout the module so that you sort of not only see the scope of the content, but you'll see what each component looks like. And before you actually start teaching, it's, I think, a good idea to get some of the words down that you'll be using within the module. For example, in 5th grade, right off the bat, you're going to be talking about thousandths. You're going to be talking about exponents, millimeter, equations. The difficulty here is the students won't have heard these terms, and if you wait until they occur in concept development, it may add a difficult topic. It may make the difficult topic even more difficult if you don't cover what these words mean. A more difficult problem is with the familiar terms. The familiar terms are given to us as if they know what they are. Well, these are key places where you know the kids may never seen these. For example, we're going to do a lot of work with word form as well as tape diagrams, and they may not have seen these before. There's going to be a lot of place value chart work that they might not be comfortable with, and that they need to be comfortable with those tools and representations as well. When you break down, for example, the first days or the first few days of fluency lessons, you'll see a map like this. You'll see 5 bullets. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to work at multiply by 4 sprint for 10 minutes. They're going to use skip counting, which is a fantastic thing, especially if you add math movement to it, and some place value fluency work. And when you begin on this particular lesson, you'll start off with a sprint. The sprint is a structure around a quadrant, and I think it's important to understand the first 11 problems are usually the easier problems below grade level, where students are expected to tackle these without an issue. And then you'll see things at grade level that can be challenging for kids that progressively get more difficult. And after question 33, you'll see them become perhaps more challenging, sometimes above grade level. It's really an extension. So you'll see kids at the very low levels have access to the first 11. At the very highest levels of achievement, kids will still struggle to do the final problems in 1 minute. There's also pattern sheets that are not sprints. They usually follow a pattern of some multiplication fact that you're reinforcing. The concept development is also presented as a script. Now keep in mind the script is not something you want to read to the students. I like to think of it as a video. I'm watching how a teacher taught this lesson. That's going to give me pointers and ideas, but it's not going to be something I follow to a T. At the end of the concept development and they begin the problem sets, you'll see a disclaimer, or actually addendum that says, this problem set, we suggest students begin with problems 1, 2, and 5 and possibly leave the other problems to the end if they still have time. That's crucial throughout this. Choices of problem sets, of concept development problems to do or not do in class to make sure you stay within that 30-minute line time is important, because many teachers are finding it's too long. Too much instruction has to take place, and they're not being able to help the students get the depth they want. So again, be selective with the problems you choose. They give you more to teach than you possibly could teach. That goes for the problem set that we were talking about. It also goes for most problem sets within the modules. Be selective about what your choice of the problems are going to do. Some are repetitive on purpose to give students more practice, but for time's sake you may not do all of them. Again, for this one, they have a key scaffold, and this one has to do with representation. To help students be more comfortable with the language of dividend, divisor, and quotient, it's nice to have a display of dividend divided by divisor equals quotient somewhere in the room when they're talking about the division concept today. The exit ticket involves 2+ minutes of time to prove to the teacher what the students know, what they taught them. And this is an example of one. During the day they use these templates, these place value charts. They use a standard algorithm to solve a problem, and here they prove they know it. At the end, they're given a homework that usually matches the concept development that they were given today. As you can see, I'm sampling one, so the concept development problem set I gave earlier is from an earlier day. This is the lesson 16 one, so their problem set would have looked just like this or very similar to it. Again, they become progressively more difficult. You have now lessons involving word problems that the students have to write their math thinking to help solve it. There will be templates involved in the lesson. We saw a lot of place value work in these lessons. You'll see the same thing throughout the days. So it's nice to have a whiteboard with a place value chart on its inside to help the students write multiple problems easily. You'll see the lessons get gradually more complex, as well as the modules as they go through the year. This leveled complexity is designed to help kids get better at stronger ideas, but always starting at a good access point. The final point is the assessment. The assessment itself, in this case, I think is 3 pages, the end of module assessment that is. And you'll look at a mixture of work of procedural work with division and exponents, and then you'll see some inequality work. But you'll also notice the word problems at the end. They involve explanation of their math thinking and a good conceptual understanding. I think before you start teaching a module, keep in mind the implementation challenges and solutions that you might have. Consider how you're going to differentiate these for yourself and for the students, and your own steps that you'll do to do that. Everybody will have their own way of handling these modules. Even if you're a firm adoption school, it's important to keep in mind that it's instructionally necessary to adapt many of the materials of the modules. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I also have a link there to the materials from Common Core Incorporated right on top, and that's from the Network Team Institute, where most of these slides came from, though I did adapt and create new slides for this presentation for time's sake. I have a website where I have some sprint application problems as well as sprints and application problems. Again, email me with any questions, and thanks for listening.